love you more. Thank you. I love you. I'm going to tell you, though, you love me. I don't know how you're going to feel after this conversation today. Because we are exploring those pivotal moments that make us question who belongs in our lives and who doesn't. And what does it take to have those difficult conversations? At some point in nearly every relationship, we know you get to a point, whether it's a romantic partner, a platonic friend, or even a family member, where you hit that question in your life. Do I want to stay, or is it time to walk away? And that can be really tough, especially if you're talking about family members, because you know, this blood you're talking about in some of these cases might change Thanksgiving forever. You ask yourself, do I keep putting in the effort, or is it time to let go? That's a big question, and I take it very seriously. I've been there with people in my life, and you're like, gosh, how much more can I give to this relationship? Or if I set boundaries, maybe it will get better. And sometimes you say, before you break me, I have to break away from you. And that's tough. That's very tough. Our first guest is a best-selling author and psychologist who Forbes celebrated as one of their powerful women in media and named one of the top authors alongside the likes of Les Brown, Maya Angelou by Success Magazine. Cheyenne Bryant is the life coach so many turn to and is one of the former co-hosts of Truth Talks on Fox Soul, where she dropped bombs of wisdom on people. Brace yourself. Take a look.
I do not agree with this whole isolate and be alone until you heal and then date. Isolation breeds depression, and no one person heals alone. I don't think you have to go into a relationship and have a baby and marry somebody, but you do have to be in relations, like companionship, engaging with people in order for you to heal past your stuff. Mm-hmm. My father told me the best advice. The quickest way to get over somebody is to fall in love with somebody new.
It's already hot in here. But she can take the heat. Please welcome Cheyenne Bryant, PhD. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Sit down. Come closer. Okay. I love how you came out here trying to give the little heart symbol to soften us up.
You know?
Okay, why is that so hard for people to digest what you said? Listen, the best way to move on is to, because in essentially you're saying move forward.
What I'm saying is this, solitude and isolation are two different things.
Oh.
Okay? Solitude is a place where you get a sense of self. You get to know yourself. You come into a context of awareness. Who am I? What are some of the decisions I made that aren't breeding the results I want? What is no longer serving me? That's solitude. Isolation breeds depression. Isolation means I am deflecting and isolating from the things I don't want to face.
Wow.
It's unhealthy because whatever you don't face comes up to shoot you in the face at some point later on. And so we have to be able to sit in those emotions, Tamron, and build a good relationship with emotions.
Right.
And not deflect
and not run
from
from it, because I call it, the ostrich. You're going to put your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, but you have to be able to face it. I love that you talk about healthy toxicity. What is healthy toxicity?
Listen, so our divorce rate is high, unfortunately, right? And that's not in one race. That's across races, especially in the Black community. And
well, nationally, it's like they always say about half of the marriages don't work.
No, totally. Period, right? But there is a such thing as a healthy toxicity. And so if me and my partner are in a disagreement and I happen to raise my voice a little bit and I say some things that are not abusive, I'm not putting my hands on my partner, but I have a strong opinion about it and I'm very passionate about how I feel. That's not toxicity. Yeah. But what happens is with this new temperature and culture of folks who think, you yelled at me? You disagree with me? You're toxic. We're trauma bonding. You're in your trauma. Like, what the hell are you talking about? No. I can say hell, right?
Of course you can.
Okay. Right? I mean, so I'm saying, like, there's some toxicity that are just normal.
Is that toxic or is that just normal relations? Because I think when people think toxic, I mean, listen, toxic waste, that's bad for you.
Yeah.
Things that are generally toxic are not good for you. But what you are describing sounds like just navigating a relationship. Every day is not going to be smiles. There are highs and lows. That's why when you do your vows, there's some version of for better or for worse in there, no matter who you are.
You're speaking from a woman who's married.
And one who argues with my husband a lot.
Right. There you go. So she's speaking from a place of wise counsel, who's saying that I understand what it takes to be in a relationship.
But you talk to far more couples than I do.
Yeah, I've been doing this 17 years.
17 years of counseling. Do you see a difference in the way couples navigate now versus when you first started providing life coach advice?
100%.
What is the biggest difference?
100%. Again, they come in, and every normalcy of a marriage or relationship they deem to be toxic, or they deem it to be as a result of their partner's trauma.
Is that social media? Is that TV? Because where is that coming from?
A few things. Well, social media teaches you that everybody is what? Replaceable. And they're not. And let me tell you why. Because people are falling in love with the ideology, the fairy tale of marriage, not with the person. So if you want marriage in the fairy tale, not the person, then you'll be able to take marriage and your idea and clothe it on anyone you come in contact with. Ooh. You never plug into anybody. But if you're trying to be in a relationship with a person, you plug into that person. That means they are not replaceable. They're not. Because if you're my best friend and I plug into you, Tamron, and we have an argument or a fallout, and I plugged into you, not just the idea of a best friend, if we get into it, girl, I'm heartbroken.
Yes.
When my mother and I get into a small disagreement and we barely disagree, we're both in turmoil because I'm plugged into my mama. I'm plugged into her. So if I say anything that harms her, I'm hurt.
Yes.
I feel it.
I love that.
And I'm running to resolve. And so in a marriage, if we're plugged into the person, that means that what they feel, we empathize with them. We're not plugged into an idea, and we don't look at them and say, well, we could take this idea and go clothe anyone else with it. You're going to end up with a sheep with wolf clothing. You do that?
I love that. I love that. I think that picks up on what you say about long-term relationships is never leaving. That's a hard one, I think, sometimes, because aren't you supposed to leave some things?
So hard now. Listen, the only way...
They paused.
I know. I paused too, y'all. Let me tell you why. The only way to a long-term forever relationship is not to leave. Now, that's coming from a woman who called off 2 weddings.
I called off 5 engagements.
Honey, so we know how to leave.
But I was gone before I said yes, if I'm being honest. Well, and I don't say that as a boastful thing. I used to be a hardcore people pleaser.
Come on.
And so I was afraid to decline the proposal because but I knew at the time I said yes that it was never going to happen. So in truth, I was never there to leave.
Come on.
And that was hard, but the evolution of who I am in a partnership is that some of those people are watching, and they do watch my show, and I'm always very careful to say, it was just not our time. There's nothing wrong with them.
Come on.
And I didn't want to have people believe that there was something wrong with them because I wasn't the right person for them.
100%.
And that's a lie. That's a lie.
No, 100%. And I love that you say that, right? Because I always say that about the 2 fiancés I called off. I say, it wasn't them, it was me. Now, they didn't cheat on me. These men weren't abusing me. I just knew that I didn't want to do forever with them. And to be really, really, really transparent, I knew with the first one I didn't want to do forever with him from the beginning. I was 21 years old, right? And I locked in so tough that pulling out was so hard. And to your point, I didn't want to disappoint him, his family, his mother, his father, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody, so I stayed longer.
You stayed longer.
I stayed longer.
Coming up, that's what we're talking about. What is the right way to have that tough conversation when it's not right? Cheyenne sticking around, answering that question and more after the break. I told you.